Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for giving us your attention. Thank you, Sandra and Ricky, for giving me the opportunity to be a moderator. Just for information for everyone, this is first time ever in my life I'll be a moderator, so excuse me in advance. I think the team here, Dr. Kao and the team have explained that what SIG stands for exactly. It's a great effort has been done by some of our team members of the ADFIAP to taking their prestigious time and busy schedule to create this workforce and bring these few topics which are very touching to our day-to-day life and to the sustainability theme. We all are working out in different levels, each country, each organization from its own. Sorry, I'm not good at names. I just won't repeat. All the names are available on the screen. The team have done a good job by facilitating them. But I just want to tell you that this session will take you through different topics, 6 different topics about blended finance and how can make high-risk projects investable. This is one of the very important topics I think many countries has. How green lending is taking root into Asia and the Pacific. How DFIs can work together on sustainable infrastructure. How Pacific nations are rethinking housing to withstand climate shocks, which is, I think, His Excellency Dr. Kao have clearly highlighted about the climate change and the national disaster we are living in. How the agri-food sector can anchor rural economies. Each presentation has different challenges, different topics, but I think we all want to go out today with one particular, how to fund growth that both inclusive and resilient. So that's exactly what we are trying to bring in on table here. So I'll not take much of your time. The introduction is done, so let's start with Lydia from your presentation, whatever you prefer, all yours.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests and colleagues. I'm very honored to present the first special interest group on integrated financial instruments and guarantees. Let me see if I can. Okay. Which one? Okay, apologies. So what is the group about? So we know that development financing institutions, they make a big effort in financing projects related to sustainable development. However, the gap between the investment needs and the capabilities of the public sector finance, this gap is still very big. And so to make it smaller, DFIs are called upon mobilizing commercial funding by de-risking projects. So this is what the group is all about. We will focus on integrated financial instruments, which is a combination of concessional finance and commercial funding, all in one mechanism, with a special emphasis on guarantees, because guarantees as a tool, they help us de-risk the projects, so they make it more, they make the investments more attractive to commercial capital. So, but the most important thing is to understand how to blend these financial flows in such a way that we create additional financing to projects that are important for us from the development point of view. So in the upcoming year, our group will focus on blended finance. So what is blended finance? It is a structured approach that strategically combines public, philanthropic, or concessional capital with private commercial capital. How does it work? A small amount of public finance or concessional finance is used to de-risk the project. So the rest of the investment becomes attractive to private funding. And so as a result, the projects they receive finance, the projects they become attractive both from the financial point of view and from the developmental point of view. So what is the state of blended finance? According to Convergence, which is the network on blended finance, last year in 2024, there were 123 projects that received blended financing for a total amount of $18 billion. That's a lot of money, but it's still a small amount of overall investments. Also, you can see on the graph, you can see the sectors that receive the most of blended finance, and that is renewable energy and transport infrastructure, as well as water and sanitation. So on the right-hand side, you can see a graph that shows how DFIs participate in blended finance. And you can see that they mostly participate through senior debt and senior equity, although loan portfolio guarantees and technical assistance grants, they also have a lot of potential, especially the guarantees. I should also mention that blended finance has been at the center of attention at the global forum for the past few years. For example, it was the focus of the financial track of the G20 in 2023 and again this year. Last year, it was one of the key topics on the financial track of the BRICS, and the BRICS were chaired by Russia last year. And actually, as a matter of fact, our institution, together with the Ministry of Finance, produced a study on blended finance and infrastructure in the BRICS countries. And this year, you're all aware of the 4th International Conference on Financing for Development that took place in Sevilla, Spain. And in the outcome document, there is a whole section devoted to blended finance, to innovative approaches such as the use of auctions and country platforms. So a few words about our plans. So the first milestone will be a roundtable discussion that we will conduct beginning of next year. So we would like to exchange best practices of using blended finance by our institutions. We would like to talk about challenges that we have in our jurisdictions, about regulation, and about solutions. We are sure that we can share a lot because, for example, our institution is the operator of the national blended finance mechanism called the Project Finance Factory, which has been very successful. And I know a lot of other member institutions have positive experience with blended finance, like our Indonesian colleagues, for example, who play a central role in their country platform. And I'm sure many more. So we're looking forward to that. And as the second milestone, we would sum up the findings of the roundtable and we would report on them during the annual meeting. Then, as the third milestone, we would enrich our findings of the roundtable, and we would incorporate additional information, and we would develop a report on the topic that would highlight best practices and also some solutions. So, one second. Okay, well, I have it on screen. The last slide is just the conclusion. So what is the conclusion? I think that the roadmap is a clear, practical tool, and it's a way forward to structure our work around blended finance. So I hope to see many of you participating in the roundtable and also in the development of the report on blended finance. And we think that this is really the time to act and the time to propel this this approach of blended finance forward and to scale it up. And so I think it is up to us to do that and to develop it not only in our institutions, but also beyond. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Lydia. I think it was sweet and short and straight to the point. I forgot to just highlight that I'll be asking some questions in between after every session. Try to make it minimum. Lydia, very specific. She said don't ask so many questions, so I'm trying to make it very specific. But then to manage the time better, once we're done with the all speakers, then we will open the floor for questions. Otherwise, if we run out of time, all of us are available for any questions. I like storytelling. That's the school where I'm coming from. If you can just share with us any of these blended finance experiences, hopefully successful experiences you have seen within your organization, within your country. If you want to just share it with the participant, maybe that will make it more exciting.
Yes, I would gladly do that. And actually, as a matter of fact, we were here in Macau with ADFIAP, I think 6 years ago, maybe in 2019, if I'm not mistaken, for the CEO forum. And our deputy chairman was talking about this mechanism, blended finance mechanism, the project financing factory, which I just mentioned. And it was just being launched, and he was mostly talking about aspirations that were associated with launching it. And so here we are 6 years later, and we still talk about blended finance, but from the point of view of our institution, we talk more about achievements, I would say, because it has been a big success. Honestly, I don't, well, I might have the number here actually. So we financed, we financed over 40 large-scale projects with a total value of $65 billion through this mechanism. It's been very successful, and when we talk about success, obviously we talk mostly about mobilization of private capital, and so the ratio of the commercial funds to the funds of our institution was 3-1 on average in this mechanism. We have a lot to share, but at the same time, I would say that we're also always looking to hear stories of the others and to pick some good ideas.
Thank you. I think I'll come back to you maybe later, but for the time now, I think we'll go for the second SIG topic, which is sustainable finance, advancing climate adaptation and mitigation. That's a very important topic. I think all of us, some of us living the challenge of mitigation, they have to live with the mitigation. Some of us has no choice except to adapt. So we are all eager to hear both of you, Sarah and V1. That's the name I remember. Right? We have 5 minutes for you to take us through, and then I have some big list of questions for both of you, which is this topic is very touching my heart. So I have a lot of questions.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Excellencies, distinguished members of ADFIAP and ADFIs, ladies and gentlemen. It is truly an honor to be here today, and I would like to begin by expressing my sincere gratitude to His Excellency Dr. Kaitat, Delegate of the Regional Governments in China, CEO of ARDB, and also Chairman of ADFIAP for entrusting me with this opportunity to present on such distinguished platform. Thank you to our ARDB management team for guidance and support, as well as ADFIAP team for organizing this event. On behalf of this Special Interest Group 2, or SIG2, I am pleased to introduce our group and share our strategy roadmap for this coming year. With the dedicated focus on sustainable finance, our vision aligns closely with the overarching themes of the year joint CEO Forum. We aim to leverage sustainable finance as a catalyst for building a more resilient, inclusive, and sustainable future.
Any issue?
So let's move to SIG2, the objective. The Special Interest Group 2 was established to identify and as one key area within sustainable finance, supporting the sector effort to promote environmentally and social responsible financial practice and products. Our core area of interest include climate finance, environmental, socials, and governance integrations, and GSS instruments, among the others. To better focus on our work, SIG2 conducted a survey among our members in which approximately 75% greens and climate finance as their top priority area for the year ahead. So for the upcoming year, SIG2 will deliver two main outputs. The first one, a working paper mapping the current landscape of green and climate finance, identifying key challenges and best practice, and showcasing and case study from member institutions. And the second one, a policy consultations or co-creation workshops, engaging expert and practitioners to develop practical recommendations and collaborative solutions to enhance access and activeness of green climate finance. So the next slide, we will talk about the general overview. So to set the stage, let us first revisit what we mean by sustainable finance. Well, there is no single universal definitions, but the European Commissions provide one of the most widely accepted interpretation. Sustainable finance is the process of the integrating environmental, social, and governance consideration into investment decisions alongside traditional economic factors. On the other hand, greens and climate finance are more targeted focus on financial flows that address both the cause of the consequences of climate change, including climate mitigation and adaptations. In this regard, green and climate finance are critical to funding climate solutions and project managing emerging risks, mobilizing investment, and supporting the achievements of the Sustainable Development Goal. And they form the financial backbone of the global transition toward low-carbon climate resilience developments. So we move to the next slide. It's about the current landscape. So current state of greens and climate finance. The landscape of sustainable finance has grown remarkably in recent years. By mid-2025, global issuance of green, social, sustainability, and sustainability-linked bonds reached and established $6.2 trillion with green bonds representing the largest shares. This growth reflects a strong commitment from both the public and private sectors and supported by enabling framework from the multilateral and regional institutions. So, however, these significant challenges persist, including large funding gaps, underdeveloped project pipeline, fragmented regulatory and data frameworks, and imbalance between mitigations and adaptation finance. So this slide will be talk about the Development Bank of Japan's initiative to promote pre-disaster investments. So pre-disaster DOR or disaster risk reductions investments is more cost-effective than the post-disaster spending, which have three main points. Like first one, pre-disaster DOR investment can save a human life. The second one's the spirit of Sendai framework, SFDOR, priority 3, investing in DOR for resilience, and last, Development Bank of Japan promote new ISO rule to motivate private sector pre-disaster and on numerous achievements in DOR ratings initiated in 2006 and current business continuity management BCM rated loan program, and it have like Example, like every $1 invested in risk reductions and prevention can save up to $15 in post-disaster recovery. And the next one is every $1 invested in marking infrastructures digester resilience save $4 in reconstructions. This slide we talk about green climate finance and SDGs. So addressing the challenge and the risk I mentioned earlier in cruel to achieving sustainable development, greens and climate finance have increasingly emerged as pivotal solutions not only to tackle climate change but also to accelerate progress toward the global SDG. In this regard, I would like to highlight three critical sectors that serve a catalyst for sustainable development. First, sustainable and affordable energy. Second, sustainable infrastructure. Last, climate smart agriculture. As shown on the slide, each of these sectors directly contribute to multiple SDG, expanding greens and climate finance to support climate mitigations and adaptation efforts. Particularly within these three priority sectors, will be essential for building a resilient, inclusive, and sustainable futures. This slide will talk how ARDB is powering Cambodian sustainable futures. So allow me to take this opportunity to share Cambodian's experience through one of our research initiatives under Africa Center of Excellencies on Green Finance to Agriculture, ARDB-ACE-GFA. In Cambodia, the climate change is no longer a distant threat, it is a live reality. Farmers are losing crops, roads are flooding, and rural livelihood are under growing strain. Without these decisive actions, the consequences will only depend. So our research showed that the climate could reduce Cambodia GDP by up to 9% by 2050. That is not merely an economic issue, but it is a human challenge. And the agricultural productivity is declining with yields of key staples such as rice, maize, cassava projected to fall sharply. Grain-fed rice alone could drop by 21% in the next 30 years. Smallholder farmers, who form the backbone of Cambodia's rural economy, are particularly vulnerable. So the many lack access to irrigation, storage, and financial resources need to adapt these transports directly to SDG 1, no poverty, SDG 2, zero hunger, and SDG 3, and SDG 10, reduce inequalities, potentially undermining decade of development in progress. At the heart of this national effort stands the Agricultural and Rural Development Bank, ARDB, as a commercial and policy bank established by the Royal Government of Cambodia. ARDB organized the deep interconnections between finance, farmers, and climate resilience. In 2022, ARDB established a Green Finance Department adopted to Cambodia's Sustainable Finance Principle, and it's currently pursuing accreditations with the Green Climate Fund, GCF, to become Cambodian National Climate Banks. As of August 2025, ARDB has provided approximately 21 million in green loans, representing about 4.5% of our total loan portfolio. These loans have supported areas such as rice milling, vegetable farming, solar power, and irrigation system. Collectively, this initiative contributes to SDG 13, Climate Action, SDG 7, Affordable and Clean Energy, and SDG 15, Life on Land, and the last one, SDG 6, Clean Water and Sanitation. Currently, ARDB is collaborating with the Green Climate Funds and the Korean Development Bank to establish the Cambodian Climate Finance Facility, about $100 million 25, which the percentage of 25%, and sustainable agriculture with 20%. In this room, we have hundreds of experienced practitioners and thought leaders, each with unique models and solutions. So what we need is now to systematically study these experiences, draw out the common patterns, and design the context-specific yet globally informed solution that can guide the next generations of sustainable finance across our regions. So our next slide, we will talk about the key milestones. This brings us back to the Special Interest Group 2 and our roadmap for the upcoming year. As I mentioned earlier, SIG 2 seeks to deepen our understanding of the key challenging is promoting sustainable finance and to develop practical, actionable solutions that can help advance the agenda across Asians and the Pacific. So our main focus for the next year will center on advancing climate adaptations and mitigation through greens and climate finance in Asia and the Pacific regions. So following these presentations of this roadmap at today's CEO forums, we will continue engaging the SIG member and ADFIAP's colleges to refine our objective and actions plans based on your valuable feedback. And from the October 2025 to May 2026, our team will embark on data collections and analysis, including key informants, interview, case study, and desk review to prepare our first major deliverable, the working paper. And by mid-2026, we aim to represent the preliminary findings during ADFIAP's annual meeting in Sri Lanka, where we hope to gather insight, the feedback to further enhance our analysis. So to complement this, we plan to organize a policy consultation workshop or co-creation workshops, bring together expert practitioners and member institutions to collectively shape the policy recommendations and practical interactions that can strengthen the region's sustainable finance ecosystem. So finally, we expect that to present the complete working paper and policy recommendations at the 2026 Joint CEO Forum, marking the culminations of this phase and paving the way for the future collaborative initiative under SIG2. Through this milestone, our goal is to ensure that SIG2 is not only as a platform but for dialogue but as a regional hub for knowledge sharing, policy innovations, and joint actions in sustainable finance. So before I conclude, I would like to extend a warm innovations to all excellencies, distinguished ADFIAPs and ADFI members, ladies and gentlemen, to join us in this journey, whether as SIG member, technical contributors, or international partners. Your participations and insight will be invaluable in driving our collective mission forward. I hope these presentations has sparked interest and inspired new ideas. We look forward to continue collaborations and dialogue on how we can advance the shared agenda together. Thank you for your kind attentions, and we look forward to working closely with many of you the months ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. A bit longer, but it's good to go. Do you want to have some questions? No? Okay. That's so. We'll move to the SIG 3, our sustainable infrastructure outlook for Asia Pacific, from Ms. Shri Sahu, right? Did I pronounce your name right? Excuse me if I'm not.
Good afternoon, district heads, colleagues. I am presenting the Sustainable Infrastructure Outlook for Asia Pacific, DFIs, on behalf of Group 3. And the Group 3 members, Mr. Panna from ARDV Cambodia, Mr. Syed from Bank of Industry and Mine, Iran, Mr. Shoria from Development Bank of Philippines, Ms. Maria from Development Bank of Republic of Belarus, Mr. Nikolai from Eurasian Development Bank of Kazakhstan, and Mr. Nguyen from Vietnam Development Bank. So, today we'll explore the sustainable infrastructure landscape for Asia Pacific. We'll browse through the prospective projects and key investment areas. And the presentation will outline the critical opportunities where DFI can play a catalytic role in bridging the region's massive infrastructure gap. So our session plan will focus on the 6 areas, the sustainable infrastructure need. Then we'll browse through the 4 areas, that is green transition, climate resilient urbanization, sustainable transport, and digital and financial innovation. Then in the last slide, we have sum up with the action points and recommendations. As you are aware, the Asia Pacific faces almost around 8.2 trillion USD, which is a daunting task of annual sustainable infrastructure investment gap across these 4 sectors. And if you will break down it, the green energy and transition, it requires almost the largest share of 3.6 trillion USD to scale the renewable and smart grids. The second one coming to the sustainable transport and logistics, which is of investment gap of around 2.1 trillion USD to decarbonize the regional connectivity. The climate resilient and urbanization, it is almost the investment gap of 2 trillion USD to create livable and resilient cities. And the last one, but it is the most important one, the digital and financial innovation, which of around 0.5 trillion USD. So here the DFIs can position themselves as a regional catalyst to finance as well as play a catalytic role through knowledge transfer and policy advocacy. As all of you know, this electricity generation is the major source of total CO2 emission, almost 54% in this Asia Pacific region. It is having potential of 9,500 million tons of CO2. It is making the most important to invest in this green energy transition. And this is the cornerstone of our sustainable infrastructure agenda, requiring almost 3.6 USD trillion annually. And we urgently scale up renewable energy projects such as utility solar photovoltaic cells, onshore and offshore wind farms, geothermal and bioenergy projects. If you see the challenges, the primary challenge is the high upfront capital requirements with extended payback period. And generally, the traditional commercial lenders hesitant to deploy the capital because of technological constraints, evolving regulatory frameworks, and market demand risks. So, our core function is to de-risk and financing these early stage as well high risk projects where commercial banks do not touch. We step in critically in the initial stages where projects are more vulnerable, but they have the highest potential of transformation. So, this blended finance structure combined with commercial as well as concessional capital, guarantees, concessional credit lines, risk sharing facilities will enable us to bridge the gap and finances this critical infrastructure. And if you see, something is happening in our Asia Pacific region. We have given the few examples, whether it is power finance corporations financing in India's round-the-clock renewable energy with Serentica, which demonstrates these are technical feasible. The Asian Development Bank's support for this cross-grid upgrades and large-scale grid-connected storage deployments, it shows the scalability. And the British International Investment erstwhile CDC, they have provided around 13 million USD green finance facility to Tata Clean Tech Capital, which proves the blended financial model works. Then coming to the third one, this is the cities both are problem as well as solutions to the climate change. They generate over 70% of global emission, which also offers greatest potential for climate action. The 2 trillion USD, the climate resilient urbanization represents critical needs in water treatment, distribution, the climate smart affording houses, the waste management. And if you see the challenges, the fundamental challenge is lying in mobilizing and coordinating this vast multi-sector investment across fragmented urban systems. Cities require integrated approaches that traditional sector financing cannot provide. If we see where we place as a DFIAP role, it is providing the concessional credit lines and credit enhancements for the integrated infrastructure projects. We can offer technical assistance, the capacity building for the government, the subnationals, who often lack expertise in structuring the complex urban projects, and help local governments become investment ready. And the key enablers, the promote, develop green and sustainability linked bonds. Thereby we can unlock the private capital, which will help to scale the transform these cities into the livable as well as resilient, and support policy frameworks for the municipal bond issuance. And here are some examples in this Asia Pacific region, like Asian Development Bank supported some of the projects in India about the green affordable housing platform, which can improve the urban livability. The World Bank and the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, they backed Metro Manila Management Project, which demonstrates the comprehensive urban resilience. The World Bank and ADB supported the Sundarban mangrove restoration. The India-Bangladesh supports in the plot management of Kolkata. These are the nature-based proved solutions which will work at a scale and sustainable. Coming to the last one, the sustainable transport logistics. If you see, around a quarter, almost 25% of the global energy-related CO2 emissions coming from the transportation sector, and it is growing real rapid in Asia Pacific. And we have almost estimated around 2.1 trillion of USD the infrastructure gap in this sector, and it includes electric vehicle charging networks, the fleet electrification for buses and trains, and modernization of freight and maritime corridors. And basically the investment barrier is a huge capital requirements combined with low return spread over long payback periods. And unless these projects are commercial unviable without intervention. And private investors need assurance and risk mitigation. The DFIs can provide the catalytic capital, guarantee, risk sharing mechanism to enable corridor developers, help the integrate EV charging infrastructure, grid upgrades, logistic electrification with initial project scopes rather than afterthoughts. So this upfront integration will be more cost effective than retrofitting. And the enablers, here the governments, private investors, they can structure their long-term financing that matches the project cash flows, provide technical advisory to ensure corridor prioritizes low emission freight and passenger transport. And these are some of the examples in the Asia Pacific, like Chennai Rail Metro extension, or however with the hybrid link and sustainability linked loans, how we can expand this metro rails. And ADB introduced the Maritime Decarbonization Initiative to address the carbon emission, greenhouse gas emission from the maritime transport. The AIB co-financed India Electric Mobile Financing Project, which helps the finance electric buses and charging infrastructure in the state of Maharashtra. And this is the last one, the digital and financial innovation. So digital infrastructure is no longer option. It is the backbone of modern sustainable economies. And there is an investment gap of 0.5 trillion annually to improve the financing mechanism. And the two primary barriers is the limited implementation capacity among the governments, the project developers, large upfront capital expenditure, and the DFIs can play a great role by innovative financing for the data centers, fiber networks, smart infrastructure development, and can utilize the blended finance structures like FAST-P, like where we can mobilize 3 to 5 of USD for every USD we have spent for concessional funding. The scale infrastructure of asset-backed securities to recycle capital and attract institutional investors, and the critical enablers like end-to-end technical solutions to develop transparent, bankable project pipelines and standard documentation, to strengthen the regulatory framework through green taxonomies, ESG integration requirements, catalyze green bond markets by supporting municipal or sovereign issuances. And these are some of the projects which have been funded, like World Bank supported Singapore's next nationwide broadband network, AIB's investment in Cambodia's fiber optic infrastructure, World Bank's Indian Green Facility in launching the clean energy financing program and grid modernization. So these are some of the recommendations. The recommendations we have brought it into the three frameworks, like creating an institutional framework for knowledge transfer, channelizing catalytic capital from promoting financial innovation, and setting priorities through policy advocacy. So maybe establish SIG coordination office with ADIP, create a ADIP partnership platform for systematic knowledge sharing, developing standardized project assessment framework, on channelizing the capital through financial innovation, maybe setting up $500 million assist blending finance facility from green finance fund or multilateral development banks, establish infrastructure asset-based security program, or deploy FAST-P mechanism, and setting up regional priorities through policy advocacy, maybe through green energy transition, climate resilient urbanization, sustainable transport, and digital infrastructure. With this, the sustainable infrastructure gap in Asia Pacific is daunting, but it is also the greatest investment opportunities for our generation. DFIs must act boldly and collaboratively. Each dollar of catalytic capital we deploy can mobilize $3 to $5 of private investment. Together, we can transform the Asia Pacific region into the global leader in sustainable infrastructure. NABARD and India stand ready to partner with all DFIs present here today. Let us turn these recommendations into reality. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Mr. Sir. I had few questions, but then you covered everything was in my mind in your presentation. So I don't have any question to ask. I have to create one if I want to create, so I don't have anything. Thank you. It was very interesting. The Digital Foundation for Sustainable and Responsible Finance. My good friend, our next year host, Mr. Thimal Pereira. As quick as you can. Go ahead. You'll give me a chance to ask questions then. Otherwise, I skip the questions.
Sure. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to address this August audience this afternoon. My name is Timal Pereira, and I'm the CEO of DFCC Bank in Sri Lanka. I head up SIG 4, which is the technology and the digitalization work group. But very specifically, not just technology and digitalization, but digitalization and technology as it impacts ESG. And our overarching objective for this work group is to enable DFIs in Asia and the Pacific. And based on certain discussions I had earlier this afternoon, probably across Africa as well, to enable ESG and sustainability work practices across all DFIs. That is the overarching objective. My presentation, I'll keep it to 6-7 minutes as the time allocated to me was that. I'll break it into two parts. The first part, a little bit about DFCC Bank and our sustainable journey over the last 70 years. And then I'll talk about the specific work that we intend doing under SIG 4. So I think to start off, I think Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, I think put it very succinctly and very appropriately. I think what he said was every company and every industry will be transformed by the transition to a net zero world. And the question for all of us, I think, is are we going to lead or are we going to be led? I think DFCC Bank made that decision very early on. And what we've decided to be is a leader in this space. Yeah. Right. So we are, like I said, a 70-year-old development bank set up in 1955. Not just Sri Lanka, one of Sri Lanka's first, but also one of Asia's first development finance institutions, which was set up under an act of parliament. So basically, renewable financing, sustainable financing is in our DNA. Although in the last 10 years, for various reasons, we've now kind of transitioned into a fully fledged commercial bank. Development financing, infrastructure financing is still very much in our DNA, and our loan book consists over 60% in that space, if you like. So our ESG journey is very clearly broken down into obviously environment, social and governance. We've pioneered a lot of key initiatives. We are the only accredited enterprise in Sri Lanka, private sector accredited enterprise of GCS. Which we are very proud of, which we got about 2 years ago. We were the first institution to launch a green bond in Sri Lanka, which was also triple listed both in Sri Lanka, in Luxembourg and in India, in the GIFT City. We've also just announced Sri Lanka's first blue bond. Blue, as you know, is ocean related, so it is the first in Sri Lanka as well. So we've always taken a lead role. We were the first bank to finance a renewable hydropower project, first bank to finance solar power in more recent times, first bank to finance waste to energy projects as well in Sri Lanka. So this has been in our DNA. The amounts are not that great, but we are also making a statement in the global stage about Sri Lanka's ability and its capabilities and readiness on sustainable financing. Under social empowerment, we obviously have a lot of propositions for women entrepreneurs and women-led enterprises. We have very specific concessional rates and terms for startup businesses, both in the fintech space as well as agri-tech, pharma tech, and so on and so forth. As we all know, in the markets we come from, micro-entrepreneurs, SMEs are the backbone of the economy. So we've taken made a conscious decision to support that growth of the economy. Sri Lanka is coming on the back of 4 years of economic and political turmoil. We are just reaching stability, and the SMEs and micro entrepreneurs are going to play a key role in the economic recovery of the country. And obviously the governance is key for us as a central bank regulated entity. We have a CXO level management committee that drives ESG and sustainable financing, but above that, we also have a board level risk management committee that provides oversight and tracks the progress on ESG. Um, so this is kind of the vision for DFCC's sustainability journey. We work under three very specific pillars. One is building resilient businesses, SMEs, and so on and so forth. Resilient workplace, that is the work environment that the bank operates under, and building resilient communities, and specifically focusing on more vulnerable communities across the country. And we have very specific goals as well. We want to be the go-to bank for sustainable finance for any enterprise that is looking for sustainable finance by the year 2030. We want to be a net zero organization by 2030 through reduction of paper, through the adoption of environmentally friendly and socially responsible work practices. And also we want to enable businesses and entrepreneurs in social entrepreneurship and environmentally sustainable entrepreneurship. We also have 6 very specific pillars that we work under, because obviously we don't want to spread ourselves too thin, so we have a very focused strategy on the areas that we work under. Under education, care for the elderly, emergency relief, and country like Sri Lanka has many emergencies, whether it's flood, whether it's drought, whether it's political turmoil. So providing specific relief in emergencies, supporting and growing entrepreneurship, supporting the environment, and under exercise or well-being, which is also a key pillar for us. So this is really our ESG in action. Each and every facility is vetted and tracked for the ESG risks and opportunities. We ensure that we have very specifically built ESG models to assess risks and assess compliance against risks. So each of these are, each of the facilities that we provide are tracked against these metrics and the models that we built. And then there is ongoing monitoring to ensure compliance with the risk metrics and the framework. We also bring in penalties and risk mitigants in the case of facilities that are not complying with the preset ESG guidelines and requirements. So this is kind of embedded in the way we do business. We basically, for all monitoring frameworks, to ensure that we protect what the projects that we finance are sustainable, low risk, environmentally friendly, and are socially responsible. So this is where our collaboration, and specifically SIG4 comes into play, our collaboration with ADFIAP, because we strongly believe, and as a pioneering development bank, that the true measure of sustainability obviously lies in our ability to scale. And as we know, it's not just one or two organizations that have to adopt or take the responsibility of ESG. I think we have to enable other institutions, businesses to achieve ESG under the SDG principles and so on and so forth. So this is where the SIG4 in developing and building technology and infrastructure through digitalization for ESG compliance comes into play. So these are kind of the overarching objectives of SIG4, supporting green finance, climate resilient lending across Asia Pacific and the DFIs, facilitating access to global finance mechanisms such as the GCF and climate investment funds, under the social commitment, promoting financial inclusion and SME development, especially for women and underrepresented entrepreneurs. supporting community development projects in education, health and livelihood, and embedding social safeguards into project appraisal processes. And the governance, this is, I think, the biggest challenge, measuring the impact and the benefits of ESG compliance. I think guiding the DFIs in establishing ESG governance frameworks aligned with the UN SDGs and international best practices, and supporting board level governance and ethics committees in sustainability reporting. And this is obviously the biggest challenges when it comes to ESG. I think most organizations face the data deficiency, not having proper data, not having access to data warehouses, and so on and so forth. Legacy systems and limitations in technology platforms that are not ESG and sustainable financing ready. Regulatory reporting requirements are quite onerous and quite complex, so the ability to meet those standards is a big challenge for many institutions, and the lack of, like I said earlier, the reliable impact assessment and the verification processes in ensuring and measuring the benefits of ESG. So this is where DFCC, or our 100% owned fintech subsidiary Synapses and ADFIAP have come together in bringing A-banks. I think we've spoken about in previous conferences as well, and more recently Intellibility as well. I'm not a tech guy, so I don't know too much about the technology, but there are a couple of guys in the room. John from ADFIAP and Vidya Sulangar, who's the MD of Synapses, are in the room, so you can have your conversation with them about the technical aspects of this. But it basically provides some key benefits for DFIs who are looking at this. Provides a low-cost entry opportunity, and we price it in a way where it is affordable for even the smallest of institutions, and it is modular and scalable. So you can start small and then grow into it as time goes. It is integration ready. The integration becomes very, very easy through an API infrastructure that we built. So the integration and the migration to the platform shouldn't take too much time. And we have ESG and AI ready data platforms within the A-banks module. And then Intellibility is basically the ESG measuring platform that we built. Again, I'm not going to go into too much of details here, but please do talk to John, India, and the others as the time goes. So I'm not going to go through the rest of the slides. I think I covered what SIG 4 is all about and what we are planning to do. I think we need the collaboration of everybody in this room to make this happen and to take this forward, and for us to be enabled to actually bring the ESG capabilities to the DFIs in Asia and the Pacific and across Africa now as well. So thank you guys, I'll stop there.
Thank you. I think I have a question, but I'll take it with you offline. It's all about your great initiative of being the leader on the net zero 2030. But maybe that will take a big time, and we are already running out of time. So without another thing, sustainable housing, very important topic in Pacific. Request Amna.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My respect to all of you. I was told to keep it short. I'm representing on behalf of the Special Interest Group number 5, which is Sustainable and Affordable Housing. I did ask my Special Interest Group if I could narrow it down to the Pacific Islands, especially the Pacific that is not seen. Because when you say Asia Pacific, we're not sure whether we're including. So if you look at the map, where you cannot see land, that's where we are, the Pacific Island countries. And so I wanted to narrow because the challenge is a bit big for us. And to put it into context, I'll tell you a story for our African colleagues. I was in Rwanda for another conference, and I met a gentleman from Kenya who wanted to know the population of my country. So when I said 130,000 people, he nearly died laughing. He said that's how big his family is. And there is a country with that population. Anyway, as I mentioned earlier, sustainable housing is very urgent. And not only that, it should be resilient, it needs to be affordable, especially for the Pacific Island countries, because in defining sustainability, it means to be resilient to the frequent disasters that we experience in the Pacific, the cyclones, the super typhoon, adaptation to the chronic stresses of sea level rise, tidal flooding, and coastal erosion. The climate imperative in the Pacific Island are the most vulnerable nation globally to do this climate risk. High percentage of the population lives in high-risk coastal zones. South Pacific Island consists of low-lying atolls. I have colleagues from Tuvalu here, the Republic of the Marshall Islands, Kiribati, and even in the Federated State of Micronesia, there are a lot of islands that are just flat. And there are no places to relocate within country because of the sea level rise. So the core challenge is providing housing that is both climate resilient and affordable for the low income and the relocating population or the urbanization that is happening in the islands. Some of the physical and economic barriers are with the sea level rise that threaten homes in the low-lying atolls that frequent tidal flooding and saltwater intrusion into the taro badges, which is the main food source in the islands. And this disaster resilience gap, most housing structures lack the structural integrity and unfit for the current and projected climate. The relocation dilemma, although it's necessary for these atolls, sometimes people resist to the deep cultural and land ties that they have to their lands. And also as an added challenge, there are limited public lands to accommodate relocation of an affected population. The economic constraints, affordability. The high cost of import, as you can see, the geographic isolation of these islands inflates the prices of resilient materials. And there are limited skilled workers and labor force in the construction sector, also due to out-migration from the islands. So the challenges of the institutional and the financial cap are systemic issues that are blocking accessible and durable housing investment, land tenure and urbanization, the informal growth, rapid rural to urban migration leading to the rise of squatting, other atolls to main islands. So the main islands are even small, and when you have people from the other islands migrating in and squatting, especially when the lands are limited, and most of them are actually private land, very limited public land. Also as a challenge, customary land conflict due to securing tenure and weak land management and administration. We also have inadequate housing finance due to limited affordable financing source. We always see funding outside of the countries. Limited secondary market for sale of foreclosed properties, and lack of appraisers in some of the smaller island countries like Micronesia. The third challenge is the weak regulatory enforcement. We have unenforced building code and standard that leads to poor quality construction and lack of or non-existence of business code. The path forward, or the integrated solution, is mobilizing capital, strengthening public and fostering local solutions. And that's innovative financing and de-risking. FSM Development Bank got accredited to the Green Climate Fund in 2023. But as of now, we don't have any project, and That's particularly why I selected sustainable housing as an interest, because we would like to see how we could develop a concept note to assist us in getting project finance from the Green Climate Fund. So the targeted product develop microfinance insurance and also subsidized loan tailored for vulnerable low-income groups, affordable housing directly improve living condition of families, especially women and children. In terms of the policy and planning, we need to strengthen and enforce national building policy, regulatory and standard, and material quality, and to steer new development away from high hazard zone. Another solution, solution number 3, is to localize resilience, skills training, and institutional capacity of resilient construction standard, and to promote the use of innovative local regional materials and techniques to reduce import dependency. So conclusion and call for action that we see from our ADFIAP colleagues. In order to achieve sustainable housing, there are 3-pronged challenges: physical, economic, institutional, that requires a shift from reactive disaster aid to proactive integrated development planning. So the call for action is how to bridge the funding gap, integrate climate risk, and to support localization. And so going forward, we will be discussing this call for action within our special interest group, and we hope to get input from all of the members who are present here. So that's the short presentation on sustainable housing. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. I think the topic is very touching and it's very relevant to a lot of countries we all are living in the affordable and sustainable housing. I think it requires much more time than we give today. But I promise you that we will have to have this session in a much larger group, because I think not only specific countries struggling, I think most of us here have that challenge. And the bridge, I think funding it's what's coming as a partner, and DFIs has their main role is to bridge that funding. Otherwise, I think we feel we have not been doing our jobs. To the last SIG session, comparative insight into agri-food processing sector. How long will it take you? 7 minutes? Okay. 7 into 60, it's coming 420 seconds. Thank you. Please.
So thank you everyone. Good afternoon, esteemed delegate, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is both an honor and privilege to address you today at this ADFIAP-AADFI Joint International CEO Forum 2025. And so before starting the presentations, on behalf of my team, I would like to extend our profound appreciation to His Excellency Dr. Gai Thait, Delegate of Government of Cambodia in charge as CEO of ADFIAP and Chairman of ADFIAP, for granting us the honor of addressing this gathering. And we are so deeply grateful to the bank's management, our Deputy CEO and Director for their endorsement, and ADFIAP for hosting this significant event. So, I'm sorry. The presentations I'm about to share is titled Comparative Insight into Agri-Food Processing Sector Development, Driver and Constraint in the Asia-Pacific regions. And so this initiative represents the strategic roadmap for the Special Interest Group number 6, and it will guide our collective effort from now through October 2026. So let me begin by introducing the Special Interest Group number 6. Well, SIG6 was established with a clear and urgent objective, which is to identify the actionable and key impact area within the food security to help the sectors and our government to sustain the food supply across the regions. And for this 2026 cycle, our focus sharpened on the agri-food value chain development and is critical link to the food security. So we are moving beyond the farm gate to understand the entire ecosystem. And the central deliverable of this year-long effort will be a comprehensive synthesis report, which is designed not to sit on the shelf, but to guide the investments and policies. So now, why are we focusing on processing? Well, it is simple. Agri-food processing isn't just a step in the value chains. It is the powerhouse behind a modern and resilient food system. Now, let me break down its main values. So first, as the primary economic driver, so agri-food processing is the backbone of the global food economy, representing more than half of its multi-trillion-dollar values. And to bring that closer to home, in Southeast Asia alone, the sector contributes to more than $800 billion USD in 2021. And second, the anchor of the rural community. So processing creates vital farm employment, and it's also helping to reduce the migrations. And it's also open door for women and youth and be a reliable market for farmers. Third, as the solution to the raw export trap. So this is the strategic imperative. Without robust domestic processing, we remain stuck at the bottom of the value chains. And by investing in processing, we unlock the import substitution, job creations, and national wealth retention. And finally, as the linchpin of the food security. So in the era of the climate volatility and geographical uncertainty, processing is our buffer. It reduces food waste by converting the perishable crop into the self-stable and nutritious good. And so, our Cambodia case study on agri-food processing have confirmed its immense potential, but it's also exposed a frustrating truth. So, across border and economy, we have faced a common set of barriers that consistently slow the progress. And we see a common constellation of critical constraints. The first is the financial failure, where promising small and medium enterprise are still fall by the high collateral demands and a lack of tailored financial products. And the second one is the branding barriers. Too many of our companies remain invisible in the global stage, and this has locked them into low-margin commodity tradings. And the third one is the human capital crisis. So advanced machinery sits unutilized because we lack of the skilled operators. And the other one is the technological stagnation. So a slow adoption of the digital tool, automations, and the traceability system hinder the efficiency and the quality of the market access. And the other one is the infrastructure deficits. The gap in the cold chain and the rural logistics led to the massive food loss and inflating operation costs. And the last one is the counterproductive policy. Though, the fragment regulations, though it is designed with well intentions, often create the frictions that lead to, that discourage the innovations. Well, these challenges are not isolated, they are regional. And that's precisely why we must move beyond this silo analysis. So a joint research initiative will build a shared evidence-based knowledge to systematically identify what drives success and what costs failure. And by comparing the experience across border, we can uncover the scalable and transferable strategy to unlock the full potential of the agri-food processing sectors. So, what exactly are we setting out to achieve? Well, our goal is to produce a comprehensive synthesis report that captures the current state and key developmental experience of agri-food processing across our member countries. And this report will serve as a foundational knowledge base to inform the regional strategy and guide the investments. So to achieve this, we have three clear objectives. The first one is to assess the current landscape of the agri-food processing sector in each participant country. And the second one is to identify and analyze the critical driver and constraints that shape the success and failure of the sectors. And the last one is to develop prioritized recommendations to strengthen the sector resilience, competitiveness, and inclusiveness. So to achieve this objective, we have laid out a clear focused 12-month roadmap from October 2025 to October 2026. And milestone 0 begins today with these very presentations. So it marked the official launch of our initiative and serve as the platform to gather your initial feedback and insights. And milestone 1 will span from now until May 2026. So this is our intensive research phase. Our national team will conduct the study, stakeholder interview, and field visit to produce a series of in-depth country case study. And our work will follow a shared analytical framework to ensure the consistency and compatibility across the borders. And our milestone 2 will arrive in May 2026 at the ADFIAP annual meeting. So there, we will present an interim progress report. And it's also an opportunity to gather your critical feedback and refine our analysis before the final synthesis. And so the milestone 3 will run from June to September 2026. And during this phase, we will integrate all the national findings into a cross-country comparative analysis. And our team will identify the regional pattern, success factors, and co-author the full draft of the synthesis report with clear and thematic recommendations. And milestone 4 will culminate in October 2026 when we reconvene at this very forum to present the final report. And so the report will also include the actionable insights and evidence-based recommendations to guide the policy and investment across the region. So in closing, harnessing the full potential of agri-food processing sector is no longer just an option. It is an imperative. It is essential for building resilient economies, thriving rural community, and promote food security. And this sector will offer one of the most direct and impactful pathways to inclusive industrialization and global competitiveness. And so the forthcoming synthesis report is designed to be the catalyst of this transformation. It will equip us with the evidence-based tool we need to act decisively. And our shared goal is to turn the agri-food processing into a strategic engine of the prosperity, to turn into the one that delivers the sustainable economic growth, social inclusion, and food security for all across the Asia Pacific. And that's marks the end of my presentation. Thank you for your time and attention, and we look forward to your collaborations on this great journey. Thank you, everyone.
So, I think we're coming to the end of this lengthy. I think it was short for me. The topics were very, very important. Maybe we couldn't give enough justice to the topics due to the time constraints, but I think the commitment I've seen from the team is here. It's not just a one-time presentation. If you see, most of the presentations show some roadmap that by 2026 we'll see you again. We'll tell you what progress has been done so far, and I'm sure from the outcome I've seen, or from the commitment I've seen from each member, the outcome will be definitely worth attending the Sri Lankan annual meeting and the next CEO Forum 2026. I would like to also thank the other members who are they are not sitting today here. I think the SIG group, each group has few members, not only the people who are presenting. These are the leaders maybe, but the other members are also here. Thank you very much for putting your time and effort and the energy for these very important topics. I'm not sure Sandra and Enrique will allow distributing these presentations, but I think it might be worth it that this presentation be available for everyone, whoever is willing to have some grasp of what these topics are about. Please join me to give big hands to the panelists, to the members. Good job has been done, good learning for all of us, and I think we couldn't get time to get any questions due to the time constraints, but the guys are available around. If you have any questions, please bother them. Thank you very much.